Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 6th edition of Speak Mock Language. Today is Saturday. We shall be holding our 6th edition of the program Speak Mock Language. So we want to sincerely thank us for being the followers of Mock Network for Education and Development. So as we start this edition of the program, we want to thank you all for being there and for following MUNED Facebook page and to learn about what MUNED is all about and the knowledge that we are sharing to the world. So this evening we shall be discussing on the topic parental errors and the consequences on children. So this evening, as we await our participant to join us live, I will just be patient to receive some people so that effectively we can start the program. I will follow Mock Network for Education on Facebook page. Na encourage we a pop no giving information ngolo pop nzeji appeal fellow. So, andela ala azay bon konte enengo enengambo enengazelse. So, dear televiewers of MUNED Network for Education and Development, followers of MUNED Facebook page, I was just expressing the same thing in my local dialect, welcoming the members from Mock area and saying to everybody who will be part of this program today that we will want to welcome each and every one of us. So while waiting for some few people to come on board before we start the program, I would like to say that my co-host Mr Tianguam Rosetang shall be participating by telephone call due to the fact that the two of us cannot connect live because of poor telephone connection, internet connection in Cameroon. So he shall be participating live through a telephone call. And in the same way, we will put the numbers on the board for any person who wants to participate in the program. You will call live and give your own opinion. So that is how we are going to run our program of today. And we just want to thank everybody who have been supporting MUNED Network for Education and Development by liking our information, by sharing information on our page, by commenting. We want to sincerely thank you. And we are encouraging ourselves that whenever we do video, whenever we have good qualities of information, we are pleading on our followers to share the information on their personal Facebook page so that the information can get can go very far around the world. So we want to thank you for the support that you have been giving MUNED. We want to thank you for the support that you have been giving to the MUNED team, because we are a team. Just like I said last week, in course of the week, we shall be introducing the members of this network to the entire world, because some of us have thought that maybe MUNED is just about some two individuals that have been very active. But we assure our followers that MUNED is a team of researchers, and we are about close to 20 of us that are working on this project. So in the days ahead, we shall be sending out the list of those who are MUNED members. We shall put up a poster for the world to know those who are behind this work, and we believe that after that, a lot of people will know that there are people at the background doing things. We are only coming to the public to say what we all agreed at the background. So with this, pending that people come on board, I would like to remind us on our topic of discussion today. Our topic of discussion today is on parental errors and the consequences on their children. You know, we are parents, and there are some errors that we do commit, knowingly or unknowingly, without knowing that without knowing that this actually affects our children. So today we shall be looking at parental error. What is it all about, and seeing how it affects our children. So I want to thank our brother Mr Tianguam Rosetang, who is already on board, my co-host, Like I said, he shall be participating using a telephone call because the network is not very good. As I can see, there are already 2 persons on board, and we want to sincerely welcome all of you. And then we say, have your seat as we start the program of today. So, considering the fact that my co-host is already on the board and with one other person, there is no need for us to keep on waiting. So with this, we are going to go straight to discussing our topic of today. Today, like I said, we are starting our program officially, and those who will come after, they will come and join us, and even those who will come after the show, they will follow the video. So today we shall be looking at parental errors and their consequences on children. Now, when we talk about parental errors, first, we can't just go talking about the consequences of parental errors on children without first of all knowing what is parental errors. By parental errors, we are talking about those errors that we commit without necessarily knowing that they have some consequences on our children. Now, we have to know that despite how the society is going today, parents still have a lot to play in the upbringings of their children. We are all aware that we are in the Android generation. We are in the Android generation because came a time where we were not in Android generation. We had Nigerian film that children used to watch things and practice them, and parents started asking themselves, where are people learning this thing? That era has come and gone, and we are in the era of Android phone. Your child with an Android phone can sit here, learn everything around the world without your knowledge. In those days, they used to watch it on TV, on cable. They used to watch all sorts of things on cable, but today, even with just a simple mobile phone, they are able to do everything. So, but we are paying attention to parental errors because despite the fact that society is giving some challenges, society is giving some effect on our children, the upper hands remained the parent. If you train up your child very well, when a child grows up, he or she is going to follow your footsteps. But if you yourself is not upright, when your child will grow up, it's best certain that that child will follow by the footsteps of the father or mother, or the parents. So what we are discussing today is very pertinent, and I would like to say that the reason why MUNED is engaged in this is what we call public education. We want to educate the general public. We are doing general public because, like we have said in time past, MUNED Network for Education and Development is a research network, it's a publication network, it's a community support network, and it is a public education network, meaning we educate the public on certain sensitive issues that affect the society. So one of our rules as a development network is to do what we call public education. So coming up with such topics like what we are discussing today is to educate the whole world so that the world should know some of the challenges, and then we can see how together we better our society for it to become a good place for all of us to live. So with this, I am coming to give us the definition of what we termed parental errors. We are saying parental errors are those practices that our parents carried out, negative practices that our parents carried out, that they do not know or they are unaware that these things have effect on their children. But definitely they do. Now, after knowing what are parental errors, knowing the definition of parental being practices, negative practices that we parents, we do that our children copy and which have a negative effect on their behavior in the society, we would be examining some of these negative practices. So, like I've said, we know that the best place for a child to learn is what he copies from the father or the parents. So if you are a father, you are a mother, at home you cannot put a good behavior, don't be expecting your child to afterward have a good behavior, because majority of the thing the child is going to copy it from you. So as a father, as a mother, or as parent, we are the one to be a model for our children to copy. So when we put up a wrong model, definitely the children are going to copy a wrong model, and that is how our society is going to go negative. That is why today you see some good children in the society, some are very bad children, because they are children who are trained, very well trained in a good home, and they are also children who are trained in a bad home. So the society or community is a mixed environment. But you as a father, you as a mother at home, you need to try as much as possible to make sure that you train your children in a good way that they should better function in the society. And one of the ways to do it is to put up a moral attitude that reflects the generally acceptable standard, because there are some practices that we do that nobody will want to accept them as a good moral in the society. So with this, we shall be looking at the first point of parental errors. The number one errors that we commit that has effect on our children is polygamous marriage. Just like this topic was our last topic of discussion, and we saw the challenges of a polygamous marriage, and today we are looking at it from a different perspective of being an error in the society. Yes, it's an error because most children who grew up to be polygamous are children that copy it from their parents. They saw it from their parents. They just grew up and they say, oh, my father had 20 wives, so it's a way of life. Me too, I am going to copy it because my father did it. So you see, the child is copying your error because you committed an error. Maybe at your own time, you never sat down to count the cost. You just went ahead and got married to 5, 6 wives. And today, your own children who comes after you, they follow the same error. That is number one parental errors that can be identified. If you come into our community of Mock Kingdom, you will realize that there are children who have not counted the cost of being a polygamy. They just get into a polygamous marriage simply because they learn it from their forefathers. They learn it from their immediate fathers. You grow up, you learn that your grandfather was a polygamy. Your father is a polygamy. And you yourself, you become a polygamy. And even the child who is doing it does not count any cost in order to see whether it's good to be a polygamy. He just gets into it because he's copying what his grandfather, his father, put it up for him. So number one error that we identify is a polygamous marriage which exists in our society. We are not saying it's a bad thing, but we are rather saying that people should count a cost of something before they get themselves involved in it. You don't just get up and then you are a father, you said, oh, I want 2 wives, and then you don't count the cost, knowing fully well that your own child who will come after you, we want to copy exactly what you have done. Therefore, you have put up a model that all your children will always get up to pick it as a standard, and they know that my father was a polygamy. Me too, I have to be a polygamy. So that is number one error that we can identify, that parents need to count the cost of it before they get involved in it. Number 2 is prostitution and idolatry. Now, prostitution, there are parents who are married and they still keep what we call njumba. That is idolatry. You are a married man and you keep what is called njumba. Your child knows about it. He knows my father is married, he's at home with my mom, and he keeps a wife out there. He keeps another girl out there that he's fornicating with, he's committing adultery with. Now, what model are you leaving for the child? When the child grows up tomorrow, he knows very well that he saw the father having a wife in the house and yet having another woman outside there. So the child will definitely copy it. So it's a parental error. It's an error you are committing without knowing. Because children, like just from what I have said, children learn a lot from their parents, not even from the society. Yes, we are saying that we are in the Android generation where children will just go online and they learn everything. But no matter what, a father still have a strong, or parents still have strong influences over their children. So what you practice at home is mostly what the children will copy. So when you grow up and you are a mother, you are a father, and then you leave your marital home and you are flirting with guys out there, with women out there, or you think that your children are not seen. When you and your mother, you and your father, you and your husband, you are quarreling over an issue, saying that I know that you are dating a girl out there, or you are dating a man out there, the children are sitting down there, they are listening to those things that you are discussing. And tomorrow when the child gets married in his own home, you see him already thinking of dating another woman outside, even with a woman, even with a woman in the house. You see a woman in the house with a man in the house, dating a woman, dating a man outside. Now these things are being copied from what they copy from the parents. So as a father, if you are in a position where you can try as much as possible to avoid some of these things, your children will grow up in a lovely family where they don't even know, they don't have any such thought in their mind. You know, we say that what we do as parents, these are seeds that we are planting into the society that will grow, and our children will copy what seed we plant. So as a parent, we are saying that prostitution and idolatry is not permitted, because these are the things that our children will grow up to copy in the society. Now, another poor or parental error that parents do commit is arm robbing. You grow up and you are an arm robber. You grow up, you are an arm robber. What model are you putting up for your child? Every day the child knows very well that before we eat in this house, my father has gone somewhere and stolen this food and he brought it for us. Now you are already laying down the foundation of arm robbing for the child. When a child will grow up tomorrow, he knows very well that the father was a thief. And the child will grow up to be a thief. Because yes, the child copied it from you. That is a parental error. You are a father who is supposed to be a role model in the society. But you are planting something that your children will grow up. Today, this particular one, I want to say it because today there is this issue that is affecting the church. Instead of maybe trying to come out to sensitize the people, everything that we take it to the church, people says that anything that we take to the church, people are just saying that, oh, this thing is a generational curse. This thing is a generational curse. You grow up, your father was a thief, and you too, you are a thief, your great-grandfather is a thief. Yes, it could be a generational curse. We are not refusing, but one of the things we want to let people know that some of these things are not generational curse. Some of these things are just parental errors. People, your grandfather committed an error of being a thief. Your own father grew up to be a thief, and you yourself a child. You grew up to be a thief. Yes, you grew up to learn that your mother was a prostitute. You grew up to know your mother as a prostitute, and you as a child, you've never sat down to think about it, what happened to my mother? My mother was a prostitute. My mother was an adulterous somebody. My father was an adulterous somebody. You don't think about that. You just go copying it. Yes, it is an error committed by your father, but you as a child, why can't you look at your own life and think to say that if my father was a thief, if my father was an adulterous somebody, if my father was a polygamy, was it not an error that he committed? Must I commit the same error? I'm saying this because I know of a certain young girl whose the mother gave birth to her outside there, and presently the girl is also pregnant and she's not married. Which means that this girl has never taken upon herself to examine her life, that what happened to my mother is about to happen to me. Tomorrow we'll go to church and they'll be telling us that this thing is a generational curse. I'm not saying that the church is wrong, but we are simply saying that some of these things could be corrected. Some of these things could be corrected at the level of our parents and even the children themselves. We should try as parents to put down some good conduct that our children will be able to copy, so that our society can be a good place. When you are a father, it is being expected that you are going to be a model for your children. But when you are a father and you begin to put on nasty attitude, your children are copying it. And this is what we are calling parental errors. Because when your children copy this thing, they are going to take them. Tomorrow, they themselves, they will practice it. I know of a certain young lady that the mother one day said, "Balok child." And the child turned around and told the mother, if you were not a Balok woman, how would you have given birth to a Balok child? The child is just simply telling the mother, I am a seed of what you planted. So, but if a child is saying this, I'm not saying that if your mother had an error in her own life, you should copy the lifestyle of your mother. But the child is simply responding to what the mother planted, and the mother is reaping what she planted. So we are saying that we should try as parents to be model in whatever we do, because when we are not model in what we do, we are leaving a wrong foundation for our children to grow upon. We've already identified a number one parental error to be polygamous marriage. We have talked on that one. We've identified the second one to be idolatry.
Now we are talking about armed robbery. You are a father, you grew up, you hear that your grandfather was an armed robber. Your own father is your father was also an armed robber. And now you yourself, you are practicing armed robbery with children in your house. What foundation are you laying upon for those children? When you have never reflected what happened to my grandfather being an armed robber, what happened to my father being an armed robber, and the same thing is happening to you, and you are not examining your own life, and that is how you are going to pass it to your child. Tomorrow your child become an armed robber, and then it goes into the society, disturbing people left and right. So with this, we want to thank those who are on board. We want to thank Madam Tegomo, and we want to thank Mr. Felix Fuzao from USA who are watching live. And just to assure you, a line will be open so that you can call live here on the studio and you give your own contribution on the topic. But before we put on the line, let me just quickly run through the list of points that we have so that when we open the line, you can call to share your own perspective. So please, just give me some few minutes for me to run through so that I can open the line. So I'm talking on armed robbery. Their parents, you practice armed robbery, and the child grows up tomorrow to be an armed robber because he copied from you. So if you do not want your children to be armed robber, don't practice it, because when you practice it, the child will, your children will grow up to be armed robber because they copy it from you. Now we have another aspect, apart from the first three that we've already looked upon: polygamous, prostitution, idolatry, armed robbery. Another aspect is 419, or what we call dealing. You move around dealing people in the society. You collect money from A. When A comes to take tomorrow, you go and take from B and give to A. When B comes tomorrow to take the money, you go and take from C and give to B. Now, all of these things that you are doing, your children are already copying it at home. They are saying what you are doing. Tomorrow, when the child grows up to be a dealer, and people begin to ask, but why is it? Yes, the child copied from somebody, and it is you, parent, because you planted a seed of a 419 or dealing. So when you are all the things that you are doing at home, the children are seeing it, and that is the best place where they will go tomorrow to say, my father used to do it, my mother used to do it. They are using you as a point of reference, and they are using you as a point of reference. They are not wrong, because you, your father, is an error that you committed. You committed this error, and your children copy it from you. So we are saying that we should try as parents to avoid some of the things that we do, because when we do them, our children will copy them, and that is how it keeps on from generation to generation. Today we hear that in our kingdom, you want to marry to a certain family, they will start by citing the history of that family. They say the grandfather was a thief, the great grandfather was a thief, the grandfather was a thief, the father is a thief. So you want to go and marry in that family, you are marrying a family of people who are thieves. Yes, the society knows that this family is like this, and if tomorrow people come to ask for your children for marriage, people will be saying that you are going to marry in our village. It's very common. In our kingdom, for someone, it's very common where somebody wants to get married and they say, let's check his family background. Why are they checking his family background? You want to marry in a certain family, they will tell you that family, they are all thieves. You want to marry to a certain family, they say they do a lot of prostitution in that family. But we children who are coming after, we have never sat down to say that, but why is it that they are always pointing a finger in our own family and say that our family is a prostitute family, our family is a family of armed robber? Because if we children or we parents, sometimes we sit down to think about this thing, we are going to act upon it accordingly and say that no, let's put an end to this thing. It will go to a point where you go to a church now, they will tell you that, okay, it's an ancestral spirit. The church is not wrong. The church is not wrong. So we are struggling to see how we can put an end to this thing in our society. So we want to welcome our brother, Mr. Nkemta Columbus. You are welcome on board. So some of these things that we are discussing here, we are trying as much as possible to let us know that when we as parents commit error, those errors are being transmitted to our children. They carry it along, and if the children are not wise, they too, they will take it down again to their own children, and that is how it continues. It becomes a circle, and that is how at one moment people will be calling in now. People will be calling in now an ancestral curse in a family. They say your family is cursed just because one father practiced a bad habit, and then the children that came after, they picked it and they passed it to their own children. It became an ancestral problem. So we must have to try as much as possible to see how we put an end to some of these things as parents. So we are talking about dealing. If you are a father or you are a mother, please stop the attitude of dealing, because when you go around dealing people, your children are copying it from you. And tomorrow when your child becomes a dealer, don't begin to ask yourself, how did my child become a dealer? He copied it from you. It's true. I've said that it's true that our children are copying things from the society. But the first sources where children do copy things, they copy directly from the parent. Because at least you as a father, you spend at least 80% of your time with your children. But your children only have, maybe it is when they go to school to attend education, that is the only time maybe they have the time to spend. They have the time to have just about 20% of their time to spend out of the house. But as children, they spend a lot of time with you at home. So you as a father, whatever you do at home, most of them, they copy it. Number 5 point that we are discussing on will be gossiping. Yes, you go around the neighborhood, everybody knows you as Mr. Gossiper. You carry information from A to Z. You lie from A to Z. Before something happens in the quarter, the very first person that they will hear is from you. Your children are copying the attitude of gossiping because they will learn it from you. Tomorrow, anything that happens, your children will be the first people to announce it. They will be the first people in the quarter. They just know that if they want to tune radio station number 1, let's go to that house because we must get information from there. And now these things are happening because you, the parent, you planted the attitude of gossip. You planted the attitude of gossip in your own home. And your children are copying. It's an error. It's a parental error. You need to put an end to it, because when you do not put an end to this thing, you pass it down to your own children. You pass it down to your own children, and that is how it becomes an ancestral problem, because we have already explained that even in our own kingdom, people want to marry to a certain family and say, people will say, let us do family screening. You go to some, they'll start telling you, oh, family of prostitute, family of drunkenness, family of this and that, this and that. They start calling it a spirit in your family. Some of these things is not spirit. We are not refusing. Some could be a spirit, but some are not spirit. It's a bad habit that somebody planted in the family, and along the line, it is just there. We need somebody who is decent to come and put an end to it. Somebody will come and say that it happened to my great-grandfather, it happened to my grandfather, it happened to my father, and it will not happen to me. So even us as children, as we are discussing this sensitive topic, we are also saying that even if our parents have committed errors, we as children, we have the opportunity to put an end to their error. Never you because your father is a prostitute, your father has been an adulterer, somebody. Never you because your father is a gossiper. Never you because your mother is a 419 armed robber. You just grow up to be practicing it because your mother is doing it. No. You need to identify it's an error that your mother committed, and don't carry it upon yourself that same error. So please, parent, if you are a father, please stop the attitude of gossiping, because when you gossip, that is how you are planting a seed of gossiping in your family. And that is how your children will grow up to be gossipers. Another item that we will be looking at, item number 6 that we'll be looking at, is jealousy. Yes, there are some, you are a father, in a quarter you hear that your neighbor bought a car, you are not very happy. You hear that children, your neighbor's children pass an exam, you are not happy. Your children are copying it. Daddy and mommy will come and sit down and begin to say, why must it be the children of the neighbor? Why must it be the children of so and so brother from the village? Why must it be the children of this? You think that your children are not listening. They are listening very well. And before you see tomorrow, your children will grow up. Any little thing that they do, they will say that, why is it that it's so and so, so and so? Jealousy. Jealousy, because you, the parents, sow a seed of jealousy. Remember, the Bible says that whatsoever a man sows, so shall he reap. If you sow prostitution in your family, your children will grow up to be prostitutes. You will reap the fruit of the prostitution in your family. Yes, it's the word of God, but it's true. So we have to see, whatsoever a man sows, so shall he reap. If you sow gossip in your family, you will reap gossip. Your children will grow up to be gossipers. If you sow prostitution, they will grow up to be prostitute. If you sow a spirit of drunkenness, your children will grow up to be drunkards. Because that is the way you show them. That is the foundation you gave them. So please, parent, we are saying that don't be a jealous man in the society. Don't be a jealous man, because when you are a jealous man, that is how your children will grow up to be jealous, to have the attitude, the spirit of jealousy. Anywhere that they go, when they see that somebody is going ahead of them, instead to celebrate the hero, they will turn around to say, that one, you see, jealousy, please, it's not a good spirit. Another one, witchcraft practices. Yes, we cannot say this without saying it. Idolatry. People who go, you are a father, you grow up every day, you are in a village, you take children, you go to Marabu houses. Please, this one I want to say it because it's very common in our society. More people just grow up to know that to go to native doctor is a way of life. Why is it a way of life? Because they copy it from their parents. They copy it from their parents. They grow up to see their parents all the time. Anything that happens, they say, let's go and consult a native doctor. I am not condemning those who are consulting native doctor. Life is a matter of choices. But we all know that a wise man is he that is able to make good choices. I am simply saying that if you know in your known that is a wrong practices, stop it, because when you continue it, that is how your children will grow up to be idolaters. They will grow up to be worshiping idols. So it is left for you, a father, to make a choice. Like I've said before in this our program, we are doing what we call public education, and in public education we speak and people take decision. All what we are analyzing here is just for you to take a decision. You screen your family. If you are a father, you know some certain issues that you have to put an end to it, because if you do not put an end to it, you are going to pass it down to your children, and they will pass it down to your children. This thing that we are discussing here may look very simple, but it is something that families have regretted. You see a father who is at his age of maybe 80, he has other fathers behind him. He has his first son, the second son, and that is a second son also have children. He look at all his family of prostitutes or thieves. The man started regretting, saying that if I did not start this thing, my first son would have not have gotten there, my second son would have gotten there, and my great-grandchildren would have gotten there. The man is regretting, but at his age of 80, what can he do? There's nothing he can do. But the time was when he was young. That was the time to put things right. But he couldn't put things right. And it becomes a problem. So we are saying that as parents, we need to sit down, look at some of those negative habits or attitude or practices that we do. Put an end to them, because when we don't put an end to them, we pass them down to our children, because the highest place where our children copy is from us. So please, we are talking about witchcraft practices, if you know, and idolatry. If you know that you are a father and you are rightly convicted in your mind, I cannot say that, like I said, we are in a public education and we don't force things down the throat of people. If you are convinced by your own teachings that you know in life that consulting native doctor is a wrong practice, please put an end to it, because if you do not put an end to it, your children will grow up tomorrow to say that is how they learn it. So if you are a father, please, we are begging you, look at this very aspect of idolatry, and we are begging our people from Mokfosimone Kingdom, Moglete, people from Mongbing, people from Mogliang, we are all brothers, and we are saying that if our parents did handle some kind of thing to us, that we have judged them today to see that they are not good practices, let's clean them up and make a better society, because the moment we allow this thing, we are passing them down to the next generation. And at one moment, the people who started this thing, they are long gone, and even being our ancestors, they are regretting why they did some certain practices while alive. But if us who are still alive and have the chances, have the opportunity to put an end to some of these things, we do not put an end to them. That is how when we finally join our ancestors, we will also be weeping in our graves and saying that this was an error, why living we did not put an end to it. Now, another point number 8 that we will be looking at is quarrelsome. There are some people who are very quarrelsome. Every day in the quarter, they eat before they want to hear something is either from your house. You are a father, you are so quarrelsome in the quarter. Any moment people are passing, the number one person that they must hear quarreling is you. What foundation are you leaving for the children? You are laying the foundation of a quarrelsome family. People who always be quarreling. People each time when they say that we want to hear that in this quarter they are quarreling, it must come from this house. Yes, because you the father, you plant the spirit of quarrelsome in your family. And that is how when your children go to marry tomorrow, even in their own home, They will not allow their husband or wife to sleep because every moment is either they are in a query because they copy it from you. So if you are a father, please, having that kind of attitude of being a querysome somebody, try to moderate. We are not saying people shouldn't query. These things are sometimes important to express our anger, but we must control it because the moment we don't control them, it becomes problematic. That is how our children copy. We are talking about the other point we are moving on to is poor education for children. Yes, you are at home, you are a father. Instead to educate your children, you fold your hands and sit. What foundation are you living? Even you, tomorrow a child will grow up and say, I'm not going to education because my father is a hunter. You live to him, you live what you allow him to know was to do hunting. When children are going to education, all what he's thinking is, I'm used to see my father. So me to let me do it because my father. But if you should know the value of education, take education serious. You, your father, you go to education. When a child will grow up, he will boast and say that my father went to education and my father is a public servant, and he will copy that route. But when you show the child a bad route, when the child will grow up, what the child copy is, he knows. Actually, all these things that we are discussing are very important. Children always copy what was laid down for them. If you are a father and you lay a wrong foundation, know that your children will walk upon that foundation. So if you, all these things that we are talking here, if you identify some of them that are in your life as a father, please scrape them off, scrape them, throw them away. Because when you don't throw them away, that is how your children will copy it, and that is what they will become in society. And at your certain age, when you repented, you started regretting and saying that, should I have known, I wouldn't have done these things, but you have done them and the children have copied. So please try to be parents. We are saying that if you are a father, take the importance of education of your children very seriously. Educate them, even in house, in your home. Educate them, teach them, send them to education. The other point that we are talking about, parental error, under parental error, point number 10, envy. You are a father, you move around envying people. Your children are seeing all the time your father passes, if somebody passes around, you envy. Say that one like that, I wish I could be like her. When you are admiring people, there's nothing wrong in admiring, but when it becomes an envy, it's a problem. And that is how your children will go everywhere. Anybody that they just see, sorry, the line was slow. So your children begin to envy people. So please, if you are a father, stop that. Don't. Now, the last point that we are going to talk on is divorce. Many important families have gone, children have gone wayward because the parent got divorced. They married, tomorrow they are in their own home and they are facing challenges and they divorce because they learn it from you. Having been that you did not sow a seed of divorce at home, no matter how your child will get to a marriage tomorrow, how tough is it, the child will want to support. But just because the child learned that my father separated with my mother, so what will happen? When he gets home and he has a little problem with the husband or with the wife, the first thing he's thinking is, why not send her away just like my father or my mother send the other person away? Divorce. It has split family, make children to go wayward. We should take note of some of these things. So please, let me just give a recap before I open the line. Point number 1 that we've talked on, we have talked on polygamous marriage. We've discussed that one. Point number 2 that we've discussed is prostitution and idolatry. You are a married man, you go out there doing terrible things, children are copying at home, you don't know. Number 3 point we've discussed on is on armed robbery. You are a father or a mother, all what children eat at home is the one that you've stolen elsewhere. Children are copying, you don't know. Tomorrow when they grow up, they will be armed robber because you lay down the foundation of armed robbery in their life. Point number 4 that we've discussed on 419, what is commonly known as 419, dealing. You go around collecting money from people, lying. You deal people in the society, take from A, never pay back, tell all sorts of story. Children learn to do that. Point number 5 that we've discussed on is on gossiping. You go around telling all kind of things in the quarter. Anybody that want to know any news that happened, they come and just say, Mama, how are you? Good morning. Before they want to hear, stories start coming out of your mouth. Didn't you hear that last night the other neighbors were quarreling at their own home? We even in our own room, we learned that they were quarreling over this issue. Is it your problem? Is it your problem? you will become so gossiping, and that is the foundation. You are saying it, meanwhile your little children are standing there, they are listening. That is the foundation you are living. It will one day when they grow up, they will pick after you. Anywhere that they go, before they see them, they will just greet them. Hey, good morning, sir. How do you do it? Before they realize, they have already started sending out everything that they have learned. Gossiping. Point number 6 that we've discussed on is jealousy. You grow up, anybody that passes around you, that is ahead of you, instead to celebrate those who have gone ahead of you, you begin to, you are a jealous man. Whenever you see somebody, you're jealous. Now, that is the foundation you are living for your children, because when you do those things, they copy it. We've talked about witchcraft practices and idolatry. You grow up, you learn from your parents that they always go to Marabu houses, Gambe houses, doing all sorts of things. And now you are very convinced that these things are not correct. Even from your own moral understanding in the society, you are convinced that, but you can't let them go. Children will copy it. Yes, children will copy it because they copy it from you. You are, point number 8 we have discussed on is querisome. You are somebody who queries everywhere in the quarter. Everywhere, everybody knows you like Papa query, Mommy query. Anything that they want to discuss in the quarter, they just know that if they see you, you will start querying people left and right. People start staying away from you. So that is point number 8. Point number 9 that we've talked on is poor education for children. You have children and you don't educate them. You have to educate them, because when you don't educate them, you yourself, you stay away. It's a parental error, because tomorrow they will take your kind of a lifestyle that you live. We've talked about point number 10 is envy. You envy people. Any person that passes around you, you envy. Children are copying. Tomorrow, before you realize, you realize they will be envying people. So please, parents, that is some. Then the last point we've discussed is point number 11 is divorce. You are a father, you have problem with your wife. Instead to see how you put things in order, you quickly send her away. When you send her away and children grow up, they know that the father separated from the mother. It's a parental error. And tomorrow when your child gets married to another person, the next thing when they have a little challenge at home, the next thing will be for him to send the wife away and say that my father did it. So why can I not also do it? So with this, we've come to the end of our discussion. So I will be putting the numbers on the board so that those who are following online can give their contribution. So please just give me 1 second for me to put the numbers on the board so that you can call live and give your contribution. Please, I've pinned the number on the board. The number is pinned on the board. Mr. Tianguam Rosetang, the line is open. Any televiewer, the line is open. You can call live now and you bring in your contribution. Thank you so much for being there. At least it was a great one. We thank everybody who have been following us. We thank Mr. Felix Fozer from USA who have been following the program from the beginning to now. We want to thank our sister Tegomo who was on board. We want to thank our brother Kamta Columbus who was on board. We want to thank our brother Geoffrey Wilson who have been following the program, and the number is pinned there right on the board. You can call live and give your own contribution. While pending that call start coming in, I will just be doing some rundown of what we've discussed, the points that we've discussed. So while waiting that our callers, you call live to give your own contribution, share your perspective on this particular topic. We want to thank everybody who has been following the program live up to this moment. And if you are just tuning in, you are on the Facebook page of the MUNED Network for Education and Development. Our role is to carry out researches, to do publication, to do community support, and to do public education. So the program that we are hosting today is part of our public education, educating the public on some of the challenges that the society faces, trying to do things that will help our society to be a better place for people to live. So we want to thank everybody who's been part of the program this evening, or who is a part of the program this evening. So free. The number is already pinned on board.
You can call live now. You can call live now, and then you share your perspective. So, my co-participant, Mr. Njofie Wilson, we are waiting for your call live here in the studio. Call to share your perspective. Call to share your perspective. The number is pinned right there on the board. Call to share your perspective. So while waiting for the callers, so we've discussed lengthily this evening on parental errors, and we started by defining what parental errors is all about. We said that parental errors are those negative practices that we as parents, we do practice, but we don't know that it has a direct consequences on our children. So we've looked at a good number of them and trying to encourage ourselves as parents, saying that if we are parents and we identify some of these things in our lifestyle, we should put an end to it, because when we do not put an end to it, this is how our children will grow up. They will copy it, practice it in their own lifestyle, hand it down to their own children, and their own children hand it down to their own children, and before we realize it, it becomes what they call an ancestral spirit in the family. And when you go somewhere, you say you want to go to this family for a wife or a husband, people will start telling you that family like that, they have so and so problem. Yes, it's so and so problem because some people started a bad habit in the family, and those that came after did not identify it to be problematic and put an end to it. They themselves, they carry it and also transmitted it to the children down the line, and the children down the line has also transmitted it down. So please, if you are a father, you are a mother, if you have been following us this evening, and we want to encourage all those who will come after to watch the video, please, when you watch the video, share it in your Facebook page. Let it go as wide as possible to meet those who were not part of the program so that they can learn. So we said this evening, number one problem that we have identified is polygamous marriage. Polygamous marriage. You grew up, you just go into polygamy not because you have assessed the consequences involved, just because your father was a polygamy. You too, you go around getting married to many wives just because you saw it from your father. So if you are a father, please try to tell your children, even if you cannot stop them from copying polygamy, analyze to them some of the costs involved. Last week we took our time, we spoke lengthily on this particular topic, identifying some of the challenges associated with polygamous marriage. It's like somebody is trying to call and the line is not going through. I don't know why. It's like, please try again. I don't know. It's like there's somebody is trying to call. So let me open Mr. Njofie Wilson. You can connect live on the studio. If the call system is not going through, I have opened. You can connect. You can send a request. If you can send a request, Mr. Wilson, you can send a request. Let me approve in the studio and you share your perspective. If you are trying to make a live telephone call and it's not going through, I will connect you live on the studio so that you can share your perspective. Last week we witnessed the same challenges, technical error. He was supposed to call live last week and share his perspective, but because the calling system was not going through, maybe for internet problem, or sorry, for MTN network, he was unable to share his perspective. So this evening, even if the line system is not going through, please, Mr. Njofie Wilson, send a request here in the studio. I will approve it. So that you can share your perspective. So point number one that we've discussed on is polygamous marriage. Point number two, we've discussed on prostitution and idolatry, which are some of the issues that are affecting we parents. We go into these errors, and before we realize it, our children are doing the same thing tomorrow when they get to the stage where we are, because they copy it from us. Number 3 point that we discussed on is armed robbery. Armed robbery. You are a father and you are an armed robber. You are laying down the foundation of armed robbery for your children. Your children will grow up tomorrow to be armed robber because they copy it from you. So my co-host, Mr. Njofie Wilson, please, if the calling system is not going through, I have opened for you to connect live in the studio so that you can share your perspective. You can send a request so that I can approve it here in the studio. If you've tried the calling system is not going through, please connect live on the studio so that you can send. I've opened
have opened. I'm saying that people are trying to call. People are trying to call, but it's not coming through. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. People are trying to call and the calls are not coming through. I don't know why. So please keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. I don't know what is the problem. I don't know what is the problem. Keep trying, keep trying. Surely the call will go through. So our brother Wilson, my co-host, I'm saying that even the calling system is not going, please. They have opened you so that you can connect live here in the studio to share your perspective. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you are welcome to the 6th edition of More Perspective.
Thank you. This is Njofie Wilson calling from Chan.
Okay, this is my co-host, Mr. Njofie Wilson, calling from this channel. You are welcome to this special 6th edition of Speak More Language, More Perspective program.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, the topic of our discussion, what we are discussing on today is parental errors and their consequences on the children of their consequences on our children. So, what can you share your perspective so that the world can hear you?
Thank you very much also for the wonderful message that you have already delivered to the public. You are so enriching, and I think that all the parents, all the children, everybody has listened to it, and I believe they are going to follow the message and is going to change the course of the various families to a positive direction. And you mentioned a point that I was really quite excited about. You talked about this being the Android generation, and you said that this is the Android generation, but the parents still have a very great role that they play in the life and growth of children. And I say that is very, very true. I just want to contribute towards that direction by saying that as a parent, you just have to buy a mobile phone, whatever budget for your child, but it is the child has that freedom to deal with it. And as you were calling parental errors, I'm going to say that with you, the parent, is the first person to tell your child the right things. No matter what the child gets to find in the Android world, that child is not going to be affected. So I'm encouraging all the parents that when you give birth to a child, as young as that child may be, start teaching the child the right moral values. Start teaching the child from the Bible. Start teaching the child the right attitude, so that you don't commit some of these errors. And when you start committing them, the child gets to be more intoxicated when he or she reaches the Android world, because he simply, when he finds out that what we are doing is being done in the Android world, the child is going to tend to be more toxic than normal. So what I want to say is that let the parents start by teaching their kids the right values, so that because the child is most affected by what he or she hears first. Meaning you, the parent, are the first to tell the child that this thing is wrong. You tell the child that this adultery, fornication, or whatever is wrong. You are the first to tell your child that. The child is going to grow up with that mentality, and when he or she gets to the Android world, no matter what kind of information he gets which is contrary to what the parent taught him or her, the child is going to remain very, very morally upright and strong. So that is what I could contribute this evening. But before I go, I just want to say that to encourage our callers that calling on a live show like this one is something which is very, very easy. On the top left corner of your screen, you will find a small window there which thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Njofie Wilson. We thank you very much for your contribution, and we want to thank you for the good works that you are doing toward public sensitization through the MUNED platform.
Thank you.
Okay. Dear followers of MUNED Network for Education and Development, that was Mr. Njofie Wilson, a co-host of this program. We have learned from our brother, Mr. Felix Fuzoi from USA. He's asking whether is it possible for him to call through the Facebook. It's not possible for the moment, but we have learned from what you have just said. I think we are going to think in that direction, because when we initially came up with this program, we never thought about a web, how people could call through social media like WhatsApp, how people could call through social media like Facebook. I think this is one of the things that our brother Mr. Felix Fuzoi has just made us to think about this evening. So subsequently, we are going to do some amendment, we are going to do some improvement so that people could call through social media, as well as people could call live on the studio to give their perspective, share their perspective. So with this, I want to say that if there is any person who want to call, for the moment or for the show of today, the only way we can receive a call is by a direct telephone call. So please, Mr. Fuzoi Felix, we want to thank you for the patience, for the time you have used. We know how difficult it is in USA. You've been there since from the start of the program till now, and you are still very willing to contribute. So we want to thank you sincerely for that. So with this, while waiting, if there is still other person to call, the number is pinned on the board. You can call live now and you share your perspective. So while waiting, I will just continue where I stopped before my co-host, Mr. Njofie Wilson, called before I stopped. So I was saying that we have discussed prostitution and idolatry. If you are a father and you are handing the seed, you are sowing the seed of prostitution and idolatry in your family, your children will grow up to be prostitutes. Your children will grow up to be idolatries, and then you will be asking yourself, how did they get there? They get there because that is what you show. That is the route you show them. Now we were talking about armed robbery. I was saying that before you eat anything at home, the children knows that mommy or daddy stole it from the neighbor or from wherever. That is what you are handing down to your children. That is what you are handing down. And your children will grow up tomorrow to be armed robber because they copy it. So it's a parental error. Try to see how you could deal away with that aspect. We've talked about 419 dealing. We have talked about 419 dealing. You are a dealer. So we want to thank our sister Zolifat and Nisel, who is also watching. You are welcome. So we are talking about 419 dealing. You grow up and you are a 419, a dealer. And you go around dealing people. Your children will copy from you. Your children will copy, and that is how tomorrow they are dealers. So we went to point number 5. I'm just running down because very soon we shall be wrapping up with the show. So, but I still encourage, if there's somebody who still have his perspective to share while we wrap up with the show, you can still call live in the studio and you share your perspective. So we were talking about point number 5 is gossiping. Your children, you gossip a lot in the quarter. Everybody knows you like mommy, gossiper, or what they call Kongosa. Everybody come and tune you, Radio Cameroon FM number 1. Everybody is just passing. They know if you go there and say mommy good morning, before they realize you started telling people what happened since 2 days ago in the quarter. Now your children, that is the foundation you are living, because the children will copy. Now you have spoken about the 6th point, which is jealousy. You, everywhere that people passes, you jealous them. You don't want to see any person progress, and you appreciate. That is the foundation you are living for your children. We've talked about witchcraft practices and idolatry, worshipping of idols. Even right in your home, you have a small corner where children know that this is where Papa and Mama are keeping some small issues that at night, that is how they will go there to be doing some incantation. That is what you are handing down to those children. They will grow up to be idolaters. They worship these things and don't be surprised. Now we move to the 8th point, which is querisome. Every time you are in the quarter, you query. Everywhere they know you in the quarter as somebody who queries. Any little things, people will come and say, let's just go and say one word. Before we say one word, you will start querying everybody in the whole quarter. If you do not put an end to this thing, your children will copy. Poor education. You grow up, you are a father, and you don't take the education of your children seriously, it will affect them in future. Please take note of that. And then we went up to point number 10, envy. Anybody that passes around you, you envy them. It's a parental error. Children are copying. We went to point number 11, and we talked about divorce, which is one of the errors that our parents commit, or one of the errors that we are committing today. We have a problem. Instead to settle it inside the room, we decide to split the family. And splitting the family, we already know that we have children, and those children, they grow up tomorrow, they go to their own homes and they get married. The next thing, when they are facing marital challenges at home, and we want to say that there's never any marriage without a challenge. Everybody knows that every marriage has a challenge. So, but when these children get there, the minimum challenge that they are going to have is to request for a divorce, because they say that my father did it or my mother did it. So I'm just copying by what they lay down. And the last thing that we've not discussed, which I'm just adding to it now, is a female education. Female education. You are a mother in the house, and your child is, or even why only female? Idolatry. When children are getting to their adolescent age, we need to start telling them about the functioning of their body. When we don't tell them before they get to adolescent age, that is how tomorrow you see children, they are unable, and the very first time that they will even say that, let me try to go outside, and they have been telling me how when a man and a woman meet, it is so sweet, let me try it. The next minute that he's coming back, tomorrow you hear that he's pregnant. Yes, he's pregnant because you, the father, you the parent, committed an error without educating these children when they were getting to their adolescent age. So please, those are the things that we've discussed. And just to crown it before we wrap up with the show, I want to say that these things we have said that they are very important, because when we do not take care of this aspect and allow it with our children, this is how tomorrow too, they copy from us. They allow it for their own children. Their own children come and copy. Tomorrow they allow it. So at one moment, it becomes something that they can trace it in your family. The people will start saying that they want to go marry in that family. They say that family, we learned that his father was a prostitute. His great-grandfather was a prostitute. His grandfather was a prostitute. His father is a prostitute. Maybe he too is a prostitute. They will classify all of you along the line. And they will just say that family like that is so and so problem. And that is how over time in our society it has been functioning. Go to our kingdom, Mock for Monday. There are people there that want to marry. They say, let's go and check people's family background. And when they are checking, the highest thing they are checking are some of these issues. So with this, I want to thank everybody. We have our sister Tindong Adeline, who is just joining live. You came at a point where the show is just wrapping up. We believe that next time maybe you try to come on board much more earlier so that you can share your perspective. We want to sincerely thank everybody who was part of the show today, and we say that we are ending the show live here today, and we are encouraging those who will come after to come and watch the video, share the video in your Facebook page, let it go as far as possible. We are educating the general public, and by the grace of God, when we produce videos like this, it is meant to go far around the world, educate people, even people who are not from the Mock land. We are Mock Network for Education and Development, but our goal is to hit the whole world, not only Mock. So we are using this channel to pass out the information around the world by using our Mock as a point of reference. We want to thank, it's now that most of the participants are coming in. We want to thank Mr. Nkomo Vitalis, who just joined. People are coming on board at the point where the show is almost coming to an end. We will encourage you that next time, please try to be there as from 8 o'clock so that you can follow live. You can even call live. The number is pinned on board. That we pin a number on board, and the number you could call live and share your own perspective. So we want to thank people for being there. This is Mock Network for Education and Development. Our next show shall be coming up next Saturday, and when we choose a topic during the week, we are going to put the topic on our Facebook page so that you should know what we are going to discuss, and you think on what you come here to share as your own perspective. Thank you people so much for being there. Bye-bye. This is Mock Network for Education. See you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for following our Facebook page. Bye-bye.